We have covered the undead, now it is time for the Skinwalkers. What is up guys, this is Corbin. These are all of the most accessible champs you can pick up in the Skinwalkers faction to destroy faction wars. Same as always, our two rules for these videos are going to be champs that are not void champions. We want to keep these champs as accessible as possible, and they're going to be epics, rares, and uncommons only where applicable. Because you know what? Let's start with the uncommons real quick. I think that Satyr is worth the briefest of mentions. Satyr's got something of a little bit of a follower cult going for him. He's got a decreased speed on the A1 and he has a 4-time hitter on the A2 that also decreases enemy turn meter by 15% if this attack is a crit. He can be used as a very budget beginner option to help you out into Fire Knight, so maybe you take him up to like level 50 or something if your account is literally 2 or 3 months old, you know. But beyond that, is he going to be with you all the way till the end of Faction Wars? Probably not, you know, but I do think that the GOAT does deserve just the briefest of shoutouts at the start of the video, because he's not completely useless, which is more than what could be said for most other uncommon champs. Onto the rares. So there's honestly not many Skinwalker rares in the pool, but overall, I think they've got a pretty decent quality pool. All in all, man. Greybeard, is he an auto 60? Almost certainly not, but he does bring a decent amount of control, right? He's got a decently reliable provoke on the A1. He's got a chance to freeze at a 3-turn cooldown and 40% chance to freeze on an AoE on the A2. Just quite good. That said, does Greybeard excel in any particular other area of the game outside of faction wars and just like wave control and secret rooms and all of that very standard basic stuff? Not particularly, right, and that's his issue. Fleshmonger is a bit of a similar deal. He brings a strong version of decreased defense. It's on a 4-turn cooldown, but then again, he has an extra turn mechanic as well, so it's really kind of a 3-turn cooldown, but even still, it's not a 100% chance to place the decreased defense, and so Fleshmonger, you can't really justify taking him to 60, I don't feel. Blood Painter is a bit of a skip. Tolog, this is the first rare that we are really going to spotlight in this video. Good old Meat Carver Tolog. Why is he our spotlight champ? It's all about the A3, gosh darn it. Revive an ally with 30% HP, 30% turn meter, and place continuous heal on the revived ally for 1 turn. Any rare reviver champ in the game, you want to hold on to these suckers, right? Because of course in faction wars you want to finish the stages with your entire team alive, so you earn 3 stars on that stage and farm those maximum rewards and progress towards Lydia, because that's what it's all about. And until you find a better epic or legendary reviver alternative, these rare revivers are gonna be pretty gosh darn premium to hold on to. So that's Torlog, man. He brings a little bit of self-healing as well on his A1, which is great for a reviver, right? You're probably gonna have this guy in something like a regeneration set and just try and He just has to live, right? That's the job of revivers at the end of the day. And on his A2, he helps out with an increased defense and a continuous heal buff on all allies for 1 turn as well. So, not bad, man. Oh yeah, and on his passive, whenever the continuous heal buff placed by an ally from the Skinwalkers faction expires, or is removed or stolen, or what have you, it places a weak version of continuous heal buff on that ally for 1 turn as well. So he actually brings a pretty goddamn solid amount of healing to your squad. Now, is Torlog good anywhere else? No, he's not. These ratings seem kind of inflated, honestly. He's not that great into many other areas of the game. You're not going to be prioritizing blasting a certain dungeon or whatever with Torlog in particular. He's really just going to be something that you hold on to for faction wars. So take him up to level 50 or just hold on to him until such a time comes that you want to actually try and progress a little bit in your Skinwalkers faction wars, and Torlog might just be your guy. Next up, we've got Nalhorn. And you best believe we got to spotlight this guy too. As far as rare provokers go in Raid Shadow Legends, Nalhorn, he might actually just be the best, to be honest, when it comes to rare provokers, and it's because of how the A2 reads. Places a provoke debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. That means that he's not swinging in with an attack and he has like a percentage chance to place provoke. It simply places provoke. This means that this skill cannot weak hit, so it doesn't matter what affinity boss or whatever you throw your Nalhorn into, he will always be landing this provoke. Well, provided you have the accuracy to do so, of course. On his A3, he also places an unkillable buff on himself for a couple of turns on a 3-turn cooldown, so my god, he's basically unkillable always. And yeah, Nalhorn, not just a good one to bring into faction wars, but he's also going to help you out in basically all of the normal dungeons. He's going to be a premium provoker to have built and ready to go if you are progressing through Doom Tower, right, to tank the Magma Dragon. He's just a very solid rare indeed that, I don't know, is he like an auto 60? Probably, to be honest. Next up, we've got Channeler, who isn't the worst rare champ in the game. He brings some good increased speed, some good 10-meter fill, that kind of stuff, but that's kind of all he brings, and the rest of his kit is just a little bit lackluster. Grappler, I'm going to give a special shout out to Grappler. I wouldn't necessarily spotlight him like crazy, but this is a rare champ that you can build and use in faction wars for at least a little while. What you're mainly going to be building him for is if your account is in its super early stages and you're looking to progress through normal Fire Knight. This is because, frankly, his A1 is a double hitter, which is great. His A2 is also a double hitter with a chance to weak poison, which isn't the worst. So he's pretty good at just pinging down the Fire Knight's shield stacks, which is all good. And on his A3, he also brings a shield buff to all allies for 20% of the HP, and most importantly, a reflect damage buff on all allies for 2 turns, because of course, when the Fire Knight refreshes his shield, he gets all of his stacks back. What does he do? Well, he swings in with a big old AoE attack, and if your team has reflect damage on them, he will instantly lose, 5 stacks of his shield because of all of that reflected damage. And so, yeah, it can really help to trivialize normal mode Fire Knight's shield stacks. If you're really lacking options, into Fire Knight. If you're not, and your Fire Knight team is doing fine, right, on your early days account, then would I recommend Grappler? No, I wouldn't. But in that edge case, he can be something that you can use in early faction wars and early Fire Knight and that kind of thing, but there you go. And finally, for the non-void rares, we of course have Lamubur, who honestly, it just brings like a decent amount of healing. Is he going to be an auto 60? Obviously he isn't. Could you take him up to 50? I don't know. If you're really lacking healing. He also does bring a revive on death skill. Yeah, heals a target on his A3 here by 25% of the max HP and place a revive on death buff on them for 2 turns. So if you're really starved for a reviver, maybe you could take him up to 50. Beyond that, my god, by the way, can I just say this is like the ugliest champion in all of Raid, dude. Oh my god. Maybe you shouldn't level him just for that, man. Dear me. Anyways, man. That's the res. Man, do we have some really bad epic champions all up in here? Oi, 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 oi. We have also some of like the best epics in the game, so let's wade our way through these. But first, if you haven't already, go ahead and make sure to use the promo code GameLeap to earn yourself 10 free experience brews, a free energy refill, and 100,000 silver, man. And if you've already used this code, and you'll know, by the way, because if you try to input this code and it says the code's invalid, it means you've already used it. Then make sure to share it with your clan mates as well, man, so they get their hands on all of the juicy free rewards as well. Okay, man. So the epic champs, I don't know, like, a lot of these are going to be good. We're not going to cover all of them. Let's just spotlight the juicy ones, man. Actually, I'm going to cover one right here, Scabrius, that I have myself, and that honestly is just a little bit more underwhelming than his kit might suggest. I feel like Scabrius might be a little bit of a bait. He brings a single poison effect here with a like 50% chance on his A1, not bad. He has an attack all on the A2 with a chance of placing Leech, which is pretty good, to be honest. And then on the A3, chance to place Weaken on a single hitter. I don't know. If you pull Scabrius very early on and you want to throw him into Clan Boss, right? Because he brings the Weaken, he brings Leech, which is fine, and a poison, like, not bad into Clan Boss if you want to run him super early on your account. Would I recommend maxing him out? I don't know, dude. I've checked out other people's videos on YouTube who've like maxed out Scabrius and are testing him out and stuff. He seems very kind of lackluster and just doesn't scale very well up into level 60. I don't know. If any of you guys maxed out Scabrius, how do you find him? Is he worth it? For me, I think I'm just going to leave him in my vault for the time being. Ripper, we'll skip. Rhine Beast. Rhine Beast is technically a reviver option, but it's a very clunky way that he revives. It's on his A2, attacks one enemy 2 times, revives an ally with full HP if this attack kills the enemy. You can hypothetically kill off the boss in Faction Wars with this hit and like finish the Faction Wars run. And then like on the last hit of the run, kill the boss with this and revive your teammates. It's actually just a single teammate. That is something that can happen. Is it reliable? Is it extremely... I mean, it's unreliable. It's extremely finicky. I don't know, man. I personally wouldn't bother with Rhine Beast. I'd much prefer to just have my hands on a goddamn Tolog. You know what I'm saying? At least that's reliable. Snorting Thug, we'll skip. Yaga, yeah. Free champ. Food. I'll be using him as food in the next champ training event. Airsign Ice Crusher, no way, but it is up to Airsign Ironhide. This is a guy that's worth spotlighting a little bit, I guess. He's one of those champs that's sort of just pretty good everywhere. On the A1, it said attack one enemy with a chance of increasing the cooldown of one of the target's skills by 1/10 at random. The A2 attacks one enemy 2 times with a fully booked 100% chance of decreasing turn meter by 5%. However, decrease the turn meter by 10% instead if the target is under a decreased attack debuff, which he brings himself, which is of course like the most important part of his kit. Attack all enemies, 100% chance booked, replacing strong decrease attack debuff for 2 turns. The only thing that sucks about this a little bit, or a lot, depending on your point of view, is that even fully booked, it's only a 4-turn cooldown and it's a 2-turn duration debuff, and so you're going to have that 1 turn every now and again, I guess, where you're going to risk enemies attacking in without the decreased attack debuff applied. On his passive as well, just to wrap him up, each hit has a 50% chance. Actually, oh my god. Wow, dude, so you can book this up to 100% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 7.5%. Really not bad. Each hit also has a chance of putting one of the target's skills on cooldown if the target is under a decreased crit rate debuff. Okay, man. Fair enough, he just went up quite a bit in my estimation. I'm glad I actually took the time to check out that passive because I totally forgotten about that. Me personally, I'd like to slam this guy in like a goddamn relentless set, personally, but just to dial the cooldown down a little bit, I guess, on this A3, but there you go, man. SI and Ironhide, he's a good catch-all. The sooner you pull him on your account, the more likely it is that you're going to absolutely max him out, and he's a very, very solid Faction Wars champ. Next up, we've got Hoforiz, which is another champ that we absolutely have to spotlight. Why? Because he revives not 1 but 2 random allies with half health, half turn meter, and after the revive, he'll place his strengthen buff on all allies for 2 turns. This is your direct hop up to Torlog, right? Hoforiz also brings a small chance, albeit, to stun on his A1, which is great. Whenever you get a support champ that also has a little bit of control on their A1, it's just nice because they're not doing any damage anyway with the A1, right? So it's always nice if they can be applying a little bit of control. And on the A2 brings strong increased attack and strong increased crit rate buff on all allies for 2 turns, bookable down to a 3-turn cooldown, right? So you can have this up 100% of the time. Very, very nice indeed, especially increased crit rate in Faction Wars. I feel like that's a little bit slept on, just because oftentimes your champs in Faction Wars are not going to be built out perfectly, especially if your account's quite early, right? You're just you're trying to get by with what you've got, you know? The gear is going to be a little bit all over the place. So having the increased crit rate buff can really help to bring champs up into their own. And yeah, that is Hoforiz. I wouldn't say max him out. Like most revivers, you can kind of leave them at level 50, at least for like most stages. And oh man, we are ending off with some really, really damn good champs. Now, straight into Steel Skull. Steel Skull is another fantastic champ to level. Has he been power crept a little bit? I've heard some chatter about that, but let's just check out his kit first and foremost, man. He's got a chance to poison on the A1, strong version. Pretty damn good to have. This guy used to be a very, very S tier kind of clan boss champ, and if you pull him super early, I still think he will find his way into your early game clan boss team. On the A2, he's going to remove all debuffs from a target ally, then heal them by a huge 40%. Very, very nice. He's actually got very, very crappy ratings into Spider. Yeah, he's only got a 3 on Spider, which is kind of crazy, man. I feel like, especially early game when you haven't got your gear together, your resistance on your tank or whatever for Spider is very, very low, and they get 20,000 poison debuffs on them. Being able to just cleanse those, it's going to be quite nice, but what the hell do I know, you know? And on the A3, he brings the strong increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns and heals all allies by 20% of their max HP. So just a really staggering amount of healing and just defensive utility. One of those champs again, that's sort of just going to be good everywhere, but in particular into super early game clan boss where increased defense is going to be great. And yeah, oh god, even removing debuffs against clan boss can still be pretty clutch as well. Like most support champs we're going to be covering in this series, probably not an auto level 60, but definitely a level 50. And finally, because you're not going to be touching Bovos or any of the Void champs to keep it super, super accessible, we gotta talk about Fane. This is one of the best single target damage dealers against clan boss in the game. So similar to something like Frozen Banshee for the Undead faction that we talked about, you're kind of just like, if you pull Fane at like a decently early time in your account, or even later in your account, to be honest, you're probably going to be maxing it up to 60 just for use against Demon Lord Clan Boss. And so why the hell would you not use it in Faction Wars as well? You know, just going by that logic. Why is it so good into Clan Boss? Well, on the A1, it's a double hitter, each with the chance of stealing turn meter, which obviously isn't great into Clan Boss, but there it is, at least it's a double hitter. On the A2, attack one enemy has a 100% chance booked of placing 2 strong poison debuffs and a decreased attack debuff for 2 turns, so covering 2 big bases that you need to cover against Clan Boss here. At least in the early game, poison is very, very premium. and decreased attack is obviously great. And on the A3, it's a triple hitter. The first hit with a 100% chance bucked, replacing strong decrease defense. Second hit will place strong weaken, and third hit heals this champion by a bit of a health for every debuff on the target. So decrease defense, weaken, poisons, and decrease attack all on one champ. Can even help you out a little bit, I suppose, into super early Fire Knight progression as well, just because of like the multi-hitters and a little bit of turn meter control as well. Fane, honestly, a great champion indeed. And yeah, needless to say, if you're going to max her out for everything else, then you might as well use her in those faction wars. And you know what? I think we've gone and done it. There just aren't many epic or red. Dude, is Skinwalkers just like a neglected faction or something? What is this? Like, look at the amount of champs here, right? And then you compare this to something like, oh, I don't know, the Sacred Order. Like, what the hell, dude? Sacred Order has so many champs, dude. What the hell is this? Anyways, man, I'm glad we did this, man. We can't ignore the poor Skinwalkers, man. Plarium do that enough already, apparently. But hey, man, now I'll throw it over to you guys. Are there any champs here that I missed out on? Are there any champs that you feel like, that I basically skipped over here, that I'm sleeping on a little bit, that you would use into faction wars? Maybe take up to level 50, or maybe even all the way up to 60. Let me know how I did, man. Thanks for watching. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Make sure to go ahead and use the promo code GameLeap to get your hands on all of those lovely little freebies, and share code GameLeap with your clanmates as well, because frankly, every person who uses that code helps to support the channel more than you know. Thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm going to catch all of you all just a tad bit later, man.